So this first part of Unit J focuses on complex formulas and functions. I know the whole chapter's titled that, but the first part of the chapter really is what focuses on that. A complex formula is just a complex math problem, if you want to think about it like that. It uses more than one operator. So if you remember the please excuse my dear Aunt Sally that you had to learn in math class, it follows order of operations. So remember, you can use things like parentheses, exponents, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Those are all listed actually on 237 if you need to know what the operators are to use with those. But complex formulas just perform more than one calculation at a time. So let's take a look at how this can work and how you can make these function for you. So let's take a look at a given girl at any given school, and let's look at her clothing inventory. Specifically, maybe what she would wear to school. So we see that this girl has long skirts, and she has short skirts, and dresses, and tempo shorts, basketball shorts, jeans, and leggings. And here we have the quantity that she has in her closet, and then we also have what her cost per item was. Now these aren't nicely formatted, so play along with me. I know you know how to format them. So we could do something as simple for this one as a simple formula of B2, which is the quantity she has, times the cost per item, which is C2, and then times average sales tax, which would be about 7%. And you're thinking, Mrs. Bauermeister, it doesn't really matter if we have order of operations here because everything's multiplication. Well, let's take a look at this. And if I multiply my short skirts and dresses, and I take that times 24, and then I take that times 0.07, am I going to get the same answer? Well, here's how we can double check. You see I had 1176, and I can pull this down, and yep, it's 1176. So parentheses don't matter because you know with order of operation. Now, I know you know this shortcut, but I'd just like to remind you that the cool thing about Excel is you can copy down formulas. So grab the narrow arrow key, plus sign, excuse me, not arrow key, and pull down it will fill down the formula for you. So to show you a little bit more of a complex formula, this one doesn't need any parentheses either because it's going to follow order of operations. We're taking B2 times C2 and then adding the sales tax to that. So you can see from this formula, B2 times C2 plus then adding the sales tax on. And I'm going to fill that one down as well. Handy, handy feature. Now the difference between a complex formula that you're creating on your own and you're putting in all of these values and a function is a pre-written formula, and it's set up to help us. But functions have four parts. They have an equal sign, which obviously this formula has an equal sign. Anything has to have an equal sign, as we've talked about in class, if you want Excel to know to perform the function. But the functions have four parts. They have an equal sign, the function name, like what kind of function it is, and I'll show you an example in just a second. They always have parentheses, and then they have some sort of an argument. And an argument is the information the function needs. So it could be an actual number, it could be a cell reference, it could be a range of cells. It just depends on what you are doing. So for something simple, let's just start with a simple formula. We want to calculate the amount of sales tax paid. Well, an easy pre-written function is the auto sum. So I can simply click on auto sum. You can see if we're looking at indicators here, there's my equal sign. That is called the equal sign. The function name, in this case, it's telling me it's going to add. You see my parentheses here. And then I have this range of cells, and that is my argument. So I can see I want to add the range of D2 through D7, and that will help me. Now I can also take a look over here at my formatting palette. And if I go to the, let me move this down so you can see it. If I go to my functions, you will see that when I have one selected, it shows this. Now this argument's not too complex because, well, it's just simply adding. So we can go ahead and just hit enter. There's my total amount of sales tax paid for what's in, not my closet, but a said girl at a said school. This could be what was in her closet. There are some shortcuts to get to some of the simpler functions. If you click right next to this funky looking E. That's the auto sum button, by the way. You can see there's average, you can count it, maximum, minimum, and you can see there are even more functions available, and then that will open up your formula builder over here in your toolbox if you go to that. We will use many of the simple functions. If you want to look through the list, you can scroll down over here and you can see there are a number of functions depending on what you want it to do. I would say as a whole I have maybe used an eighth of these. Some of them I don't even know what the heck they do. But when I said before Excel can really do anything you want it to, it can do anything you want it to. If we look at something as simple as the math, well, statistics, that's pretty simple too. You can get your average deviation. You can obviously get to something as simple as the count. You can get something like it will help you forecast what's unknown or known. You can get your minimum, your maximum, your median, your mode, simple statistical items. So let's just look through one of these to see what it's going to do. Let's say I want to click in cell E8 and I want to know what is the median of this. So when I read an argument, I can see I have my equals and median and it wants this range. When I read an argument though, you don't read from left to right, you read from top to bottom. So I can see this is telling me in the description, it's going to say the numbers are 1 to 255, numbers are whatever, or references that contain numbers for what you want the median to be. So I'm saying I want to know what this is, the median from E2 to E7. And you can see on the right hand side, it always puts that answer there, or it puts the data there for what's in these cells. And it even gives me the shortcut to the answer. So I can hit enter, and there is my median. Functions can do many things for you. Let's go ahead and record today's date. So that way you'll know for posterity's sake that I just did recently do this. Now I could scroll through and try to find date, and oh my goodness, it looks like it's maybe right up in toward the top. But you can also just start typing and see what date comes up with. So I can do something as simple as finding today's date, year, month, and day. I can hit enter. Whoops, it has an error. Obviously I can't just hit enter. I could put in today's date and I can click OK. So the reason putting in today's date is not working correctly there, I would have to go input my data. I need to use the correct function, and so I need to use the today function. And by using the today function, it will put that in there and returns a number that represents today's date. So if I hit enter, it puts today's date in. Now could I go format this and change how I want it to look? Of course, most definitely. But the today's date then will put in the date that you did all of this, or did whatever it is on your worksheet. Hopefully you remember that there are shortcuts to get to these. If you do not have your formula builder or you don't remember to go to your formula builder, you can also know, let's go back to this one and let's just do an simple auto sum. I can always hit equals and I can start typing and it will pull up anything that begins with sum in this case. So there's my most recent would be auto sum, and I could tell it I want to use sum of, and then notice I can select my range. So I want the sum of, let's just do the sum of these things that maybe cost me a little bit. So let's see. Oh no, long skirts are good because I can still wear those. Let's get back out of that. I want the cost of my short dresses and my tempo shorts and my leggings. That's all stuff I can't wear in school anymore. So I can see I have about $41. And I know it's not lined up nicely, but you can see that, and that's how I can simply find my auto sum to add those three together. Now in the case of auto sum, could I just click on those three to add them? Most definitely. That would probably be speedier.